Hi, I'm Katie. Welcome to my playlist on Christian and Vegan. I'm so glad to see you here. And today we're going to be talking about judging. This happens quite a bit on the Christian side and the vegan side, and I just want to address that and how it comes about. So judging usually happens when we see something that is outside of what we expect as norm to us, whether it's culturally or what have you. The first time we see it, the initial response is curiosity. And then, if we're not children and we have a whole bunch of baggage with us on what our expectations are, after the curiosity comes the judgment or evaluation. And that goes down to about two categories. So we start at the curiosity and then we go down into judgment, or we go over to aspiration. So for example, if we see somebody who's using cloth diapers, we either judge that as, ugh, that is so disgusting, I could never do that. Or we aspire to it, like, that is amazing that the person is taking the time to not put so much into the landfill and is taking the extra time to do that. And then you decide how you're going to interact with that person based on, did you pass judgment or do you aspire to be like them? And when this comes to lifestyle choices, especially as Christians, if we're inclined to judge what they're doing, are we doing it based on what the Bible says? Is this a clear-cut case of right and wrong? For example, somebody wearing a kilt, is that a clear case of right or wrong? Somebody making their own soap, clear-cut case of right and wrong. Homeschooling. So you see what I mean? There's a lot of lifestyle choices that people have that the Bible doesn't say thou shalt or thou shalt not. You can have a lot of good reasons behind them of whether or not you should do it, but it's still a lifestyle choice. That is not clear-cut in the Bible of whether there's a moral issue behind it. Now, I would say veganism, as we're going to discover, does have a lot of moral implications that we should be aware of and should study as Christians, because if we are unaware of something that God has said, we can unknowingly be disobeying Him, and we don't want to do that. So that is why we're going to be delving into this topic even more. But I just wanted us to understand in this episode what judgmentalism is and how we can go down the road from the initial curiosity to judgmental or aspiration. I would say that Paul was the king of being able to judge people. He was so into legalism of what you should do or what you shouldn't do. He was raised that way and he knew the law. He talked about how many times that he was the one, if anyone was going to pass judgment, it would have been Paul. And yet he came to the understanding that only God sees the heart. Yes, we should evaluate based on what we can perceive externally, just to be wise on whether or not we should emulate what somebody is doing or we should be their close friend. However, we always need to do that with the reminder that only God sees their heart. We can't see that. So when it comes to judging them like God would, we're definitely not qualified to do that. So let's bear that in mind when we go forward on this topic of veganism, whether or not a Christian should be vegan, or is that even a word that we are to be using? Should or can? What is the proper word there? And where are we going to go from here on this topic? Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions on this, on whether or not you felt like someone was judgmental towards you, being a vegan, not being a vegan, Christian, not being a Christian, please comment below if this is something that you think that we need to delve in further and study with certain scriptures or certain circumstances that people need to be aware of so that they can either learn or avoid or what have you. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you again.